Welcome back to Comedy or Worse.
I'll take the comedy.
Yeah.
So that's the choice.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's a cycle, right? We try to make things that are worse back into comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm here with my very special guest.
Rick Jean.
Yay!
You forgot who I am, didn't you? You're like,
No, it's a gag I have where I make the guests pronounce their name.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah.
I mean, that one's pretty easy to pronounce, but you just
Yeah.
never know.
Never know.
That's right. So you don't use a stage name, right?
I do use a stage name.
Oh.
Because Rick Jean is easy to pronounce.
There you go.
My real last name is Milslegel,
Ah.
which I've never used. In fact, if you Google it, there's nothing. Like I was Rick Jean online before I was doing comedy.
Wow.
You know, and Jean's my middle name.
Okay, cool.
But I never wanted to be where like the host would be like, this next guy come to stage is very funny. I've seen him all the we're good friends. Rick Moo. Then they totally butcher my name because people have known me for years.
Yeah.
And now Rick Jean is much more of my, I guess, identity. Like I have my bank where I can cash checks I made out to Rick Jean. I have a credit card under Rick Jean. Cool. So Milslegel is just legal, but it's not a name I use. Like if you Google it, like I said, there's nothing.
All right.
Just because I never used it.
Cool.
But yeah, so yeah.
That's great. Yeah, see, this is part of the podcast, is learning new things about your favorite comedians.
Yeah. Or Rick Jean.
Exactly. Yes. So how did you get into comedy?
I always wanted to be a writer.
Okay.
Well, not always. I've always been a comedy fan too. But anyways, I was taking, I was doing like writing, like, I don't know, like short stories, okay. Right? And nothing would happen with it. Maybe I'll get it published somewhere, but nobody cared, right? And then at the time, I was doing a lot of karaoke,
okay.
Right? But I'm not a very good singer, and I know I'm not a very good singer, so I would change the words all around, like Weird Al kind of, right? And just have fun with it. And some people who did comedy said, hey, you should do comedy. And I was like, yeah, I should. So at the time, there was only one comedy club in town, the Comedy Store. And I called them and said, how do I, and they were not doing an open mic at the time I started.
Really?
It was like a brief moment where they stopped doing them. Yeah, Sundays they had a poetry night because it was dead. So the first time I was on stage was a Wednesday night best of at the Comedy Store.
Wow.
And so I just did 3 minutes and I was like, well, this is fun. Now I write something and I have feedback.
Yeah.
As opposed to writing a story and just kind of just drifts off and disappears. I mean, nothing happens.
Yeah.
So I like that, and that's where it went.
Oh, cool. So did you get addicted to performing comedy right away? Or?
I got addicted to the feedback right away. The performing, I would get so nervous just because it's like, I'm not used to this, Like I didn't grow up wanting to be an actor or anything,
Sure.
I was never like the class clown.
Yeah.
I was always, so I usually kept more sarcastic little comments among like a small group of friends,
Yeah.
So I would get like super nervous. So that part wasn't addicting. What the addicting part was doing something when you're on stage,
Yeah.
Like before going on stage, I did not like that part. On stage, I loved that part.
Yeah.
Afterwards, the relief, like, yeah, that was good. I like that part most of the time.
Sure.
But was it addicting? Definitely parts of it, I would say, were addicting.
Oh.
The high part
Yeah.
was the high part,
For sure. So what is your writing process for comedy?
It's changed dramatically. Right now, my writing process is I'm constantly observing, right?
Uh-huh.
To the point where people think I'm absent-minded.
Right.
But I'm always thinking, And then when I think of something, I would jot it down, usually just as like a random thought in my phone.
Yeah.
And then it might sit there for months, right?
Okay.
And then something would happen where I was like, oh my God, I could use this.
Yeah.
Like here's a good example. Many years ago, Benghazi was in the news, right? Now Benghazi's in Libya, and I kept hearing Libya on the news, and I really wasn't paying a lot of attention. Right. And I just said, Libya, that sounds like part of the female anatomy. Now, that's kind of like whatever, joke by itself, but that's not something I could just put in my act. It's too random. It doesn't fit anywhere.
Right.
But I saved it. Fast forward a couple years, and I was working on, I was writing my film. I have an animated film out, and I was writing a scene where a character they're making nuclear ray guns, right, to fight off an alien zombie invasion. And one of the characters was like, okay, all we need is, the nuclear radiation. We're going to get it. And the other guy goes, I don't know, how about Libya? And I thought of Libya because I had just watched Back to the Future where the Libyans were like,
Right.
I mean, I know that was uranium, but I was like, that's kind of funny. Then I was like, oh my God, Libya, that sounds like part of the future. So then that became part of the show.
Nice.
Right? And then I was like, that's pretty funny when it kind of fits like that.
Yeah.
Then it became one of my jokes with a whole different thing, whole different setup. Like now if my car's broken, the mechanic's messing with me. Like it just expanded on it.
Yeah.
So it started off with me saving a joke on my phone years ago.
Sure.
But when I started, it was the writer background in me. I would sit around in a room like this, like at a desktop or a laptop, whatever, and I would just look around like, okay, what's funny, right? And then just try to write, and my writing stuff, it was stupid. It was about like, oh, there's my TV set. There's write about video games, write about TV shows. Oh, that's where I jerk off. Masturbation, you know what I mean?
Right.
It was like nothing really happened. And I used to write out every single word,
Right.
like word by word. Even the word pause, because I'd go like too fast. So I'd be like, do pause. I mean, in parentheses, I didn't say it, but I mean, but the pause was to get people to catch up. So it's evolved. Now I'm write. I never sit down to say I'm going to write now. Now it's just I'm going to observe, and save it, and now my phone's just loaded with random thoughts that probably would never be said.
Sure.
Out
so
loud.
is it saved into the cloud or?
No, I save them just in notes on my iPhone. It does back up to the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
but yeah.
Yeah, save to the cloud, people.
Yeah.
So don't lose your jokes.
Yeah, but I don't have to access the cloud to get it. But yeah, no, because I could use it on my desktop too.
Cool.
So
That's good.
yeah,
Nice.
so that's my writing process. But there's no one right way.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
why
I mean
I
everybody
asked.
has. Yeah, everybody's going to have
Yeah.
lots of different methods. Whatever works best for you.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. So, who's the funniest person in your life right now?
In my life,
Yeah, and are they a comedian?
God, almost everybody I know except for like my family is a comedian.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Yeah, well, my sister's unintentionally the funniest. I mean, I think she's the funniest, but she doesn't mean to be.
Yeah.
She just does some really stupid things. Like for some reason, she decided to become a chicken rancher.
Wow.
Like she had a chicken, somebody gave her a chicken, and now she has like 12 chickens.
Wow.
People get like like maybe you get like a cat or something, and they're like, oh, my cat's lonely when I'm not home. I'm gonna get another cat, right? And the next thing you know, they have like 9. That's how my sister is with chickens. She didn't live like on a chicken farm, but now she has chickens. They go in the house. They're like pets. I mean, they are pets.
Wow.
That's kind of funny. I mean, there's funny things there that.
So are they trained or they just poop everywhere?
I think they just poop everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, she doesn't like let them run like in the bedroom. I don't think.
Wow.
But I mean, they're like limited to like the kitchen,
Wow.
which is where like that's where you should have your chickens. And I always make jokes about eating them.
Yeah.
You got to fatten them up, that kind of stuff. So.
Cool. Nice. I ask everybody this. I don't always know the answer, but when did we meet?
When did we meet?
Yeah.
May 29th, 2019.
What?
Right here.
That's crazy. How did you know that?
How'd you not know that?
I don't know.
You don't know you don't remember when you met people?
No.
No, I don't know. It was.
You got me.
No, it was around. It was definitely here.
Oh.
Here's where I saw you. I came in. I don't know. I guess I was performing. I don't know where else I'll come in. But I haven't really performed here much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely here. I saw you. I think you might have been. You used to host back here?
Yeah, I think I hosted before here. Yeah.
Maybe that's why I was back here. Because I want to say you were hosting. Because there's some reason I talked to you, like at least said hi, hey. So.
Oh, cool.
It was probably around 2019. I want to say it was pre-COVID.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's see. So have you ever traveled to do comedy?
Yeah, I've 6 continents and like 40 states.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
There you go. So what's the 7th continent?
I've never been to Antarctica.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to say. It's usually Antarctica is the last one.
Yeah. I've been to Alaska in the wintertime. That's probably pretty close.
Yeah.
But yeah, never been to, I don't know who books Antarctica.
Yeah.
It's,
Probably anybody could.
I don't know.
All they got to do is have a venue and get the comics there, get the audience there.
Yeah, then you're stuck there.
And then why do you even want to be there?
Just to say you've been there?
Yeah.
Bragging rights?
We should have a festival in Antarctica.
Yeah, I imagine you could do that. Bottom of the world festival.
Yeah, that's cool. So do you have any hobbies or passions that are not related to comedy?
I like baseball.
Okay.
I play a lot of chess. That's how I get I want to say my creative juices going as I play chess.
Okay.
You know, like if I'm writing something and I have like a writer's block, you know, I like just doing the quick games because I don't like sitting there and just studying it. I just like the quick games, rapid fire. It gets my juices going, and then kind of break. Which, in a weird way, I guess does relate to comedy because it's to cure writer's block. Otherwise, I'm watching sports on TV. I like movies.
Cool.
You know, just normal, typical 15-year-old boy stuff. Play video games. You know.
Sweet.
I just never grew up.
Yeah. So what games you playing right now?
Okay.
Talk about anything.
I was almost late today. No, Star Wars Outlaws.
Okay, how's that one?
I like it. It got a lot of hate online.
Yeah.
I like it's an open world Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And I just been having a blast with it.
Nice. I
understand like the hate because if you're looking at it, it's a game, but I like the nostalgia factor in it. You know, like it's like, oh my god, look at me, I'm running around Tatooine. Yeah. I also play college football a lot. You know, kind of switch back and forth. It just came out after a 10-year wait. So yeah.
Nice. So what are you playing on PC or?
No, I have a PS5.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah, I just don't like the PC games. I mean, I know they're probably better, but it just for me. Usually, what I do, this is how I don't know if I have ADD, but maybe I do. I usually playing like something on my TV and watching something on my laptop.
Sure.
You know, so I don't know. That's why I don't play PC games. Otherwise, I got to do it backwards.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So yeah.
That's cool. So, do you wish you started comedy earlier?
There are times I do. I was 29 when I started.
Oh, wow.
Because I did 4 years in the Navy and then went to college. So there are times I wish I would have, but I also know if I started when I was in my early 20s, my comedy would have been really stupid.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been really bad, and I probably would have quit.
Yeah.
You know, got discouraged, like, you know, and so I think I needed some life experience first.
Yeah.
So I think I started at the right time. My biggest problem with comedy is I've taken lots of breaks. And you think, like, if you do, say, for 6 years, and then you take a year or two off, you go back into it, you're like a year 8, right? But you're not. You're actually back at like year 2 because you have to start back all over again almost. Yeah. You're not starting all over year 0 because you have some experience. Right. You do know some people, but it's not linear, you know? Right. It's a lot of, my comedy career has been a lot of, you know? Right. So yeah. So I don't wish I started earlier, but I do wish I didn't stop as often or as long as I have.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's the longest you've stopped for?
I know I've stopped for over 2 years. It was probably, there was a period of probably about 4 years where I did it very rarely. Like I'll still do it, you know, but it might, you know, you don't quit. I never had a moment where I'm like, I'm done or whatever, right? It was never a break like that. It was just doing it less and less and less, you know? It could be, maybe you know, I was married for a while, you know, and I couldn't justify going to a bar show or an open mic when she wanted, So maybe I'll start doing just bigger paid shows, and then that's all I would do. But then that would happen less and less, So it just came gradually. When I stopped for a long time, I had a job. I was working 5 days a week, 5 nights a week. My only days off are Monday and Tuesday, which sucks for comedy. And every Tuesday I was doing a radio show.
Oh, okay.
It was a sketch comedy radio show on a local FM station. But so it's comedy related because I wrote all the skits. Every week I wrote an hour worth of skits, but I wasn't performing. Everybody in the comedy scene, they don't know me. I mean, they knew me, but I mean, it wasn't like I was out of sight, out of mind.
Sure. What was it called?
It's Keeping It Weird.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was the only constant member because for a long time I would have people come in and do. I suck at voices, but it's basically the show was Saturday Night Live on the radio. All right.
Okay. Cool.
I'm excellent at writing skits, but I'm not good at voices. So I would do like a narrator, or just kind of like a generic person, right? And then my buddy Wes Sample, you know Wes? He mainly lives in Mexico now.
Oh, okay.
But he's really good at voices. And he was going to be, I made him like first we're on an old part of the show that was more traditional talk show.
Okay.
There's two of us. And then that was also called Keeping It Weird.
Yeah.
And that one stopped. And then like 10 years later, I brought the name back. It was a different show. Because I like the name Keeping It Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Which ended up being used by the city of Austin and the city of Portland, and it became big. But we had it first. We had it like in 2003.
Wow.
So that's why I kept using it even after other people used it.
Cool.
Anyway, so when I brought it back, I was going to be the only constant member, and he was going to be like a guest, whenever he had time, because he was doing other things.
Sure.
All right. His guest became a permanent role, and then I brought in. I needed a girl because I was doing girl roles very poorly.
Yeah.
And Maria Herman, you know her.
Sounds familiar.
Okay, she's a comedian. I don't know where she lives. I think she's in Pennsylvania now. That's what I heard. But she was a comedian who was starting off, and she's amazing at voices.
Wow.
Like I asked her if she could do an English accent, like just before we started, and she goes, "You want Northern England or Southern England?" And I was like, "I don't know, like London." She's like, "You want East London or West London?"
Oh my goodness.
Or Cockney, and I was like, "What the hell? I just want an English accent. Nobody cares that much,
Right.
But she was like, she does like every country, like French, you're German, which made my skit writing a lot easier.
Yeah.
You have voices you could do, and she brought in her comedy teacher because she had just took a class, Tony Calabrese, who I knew from comedy, but I didn't really know him. I mean, I just saw him around, and Tony's way better voices than I would have thought. He's actually pretty good, and Tony became a good member of the team. So even though it's still my show, the core of the team became Tony, Maria, Wes, and myself. Cool. And we just do sketch comedy on radio.
Nice. So how long did you do that for?
3 or 4 years. Until this radio sucks. I mean, stations change formats. Like, we're going to be country. Like, no. Like the first one I was on with Wes, it was 103.7. I don't know what it's called now. It was called Free FM, and it was all talk radio.
Okay.
And they started because they had Howard Stern. When Howard Stern went to satellite, they were like, "We're free. We have free talk radio." So they're called Free FM, and we had the longest running local show.
Okay.
At the time when the station changed.
Wow.
And they went to Sophie. I don't know. I have no idea what they are now. And then the other station I was on was 107.9, which is like classic rock, and then they went country.
Right.
So it's just like, Jesus.
Yeah. So when they switch format, they usually just drop the shows?
Not always, but a lot of times they would, yeah. I mean, it's just like we have different things, They definitely change demographics of the listening audience.
Sure.
But yeah. They dropped the show when 103.7 changed. They got rid of all their talk shows because they weren't doing that anymore.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yep. And then during COVID, I was turning like skits into animated films.
Nice.
Like short, and I have no animation skills. I was just learning on my computer,
Sure.
but I had time because it was COVID.
Yeah.
So I did those, and then I wanted to make a series of them. So I wrote out like 12, like 5-minute segments, whatever, and then I turned it into a movie, which won some awards, and it's available on streaming services.
What's it called?
It's called There Goes the Neighborhood.
Nice.
Which is, I don't even know where it's at because it goes on a streaming service, and then I have a distributor, right? And they kind of go on. I know it's on Tubi and it's on Amazon Prime, but it was on some other ones. And there's a lot of them that are on that I never heard of, that I think are like in other countries. I only know it when I get. I mean, I could check the list of where it is, but usually I get like little statements every month, like oh, people in Norway have heard of us.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I just did it during free time.
Yeah, nice. So what are your goals in comedy?
My goal is, since I started, was to not have to do a real job.
Okay.
Was to avoid having to wake up and work and all that, Like I work my ass off for comedy, but I don't want to work for. I used to work in a cubicle.
Right.
And that was that's not fun. Yeah. That's not what I want, And then I really did it. I did my first overseas tour, which was a month long, which is a long time, living out of a suitcase. But it was I went like all over Japan and like Guam and Hawaii and Alaska, and I was just like, and everywhere you go, it was on military bases, and everywhere we go, they treat us like rock stars. Yeah. And I came back going like, I can't go work in a cubicle now. Yeah. I mean, I just saw the world. So that's what I was doing for a long time, was just traveling around. And I was like I'm not gonna go work in a cubicle. So the goal is to avoid having to get a job.
Yeah. Cool.
Unless it's a job for myself.
Yeah, makes sense. So do you have like your own merch or anything?
I do not sell merch.
Okay.
I know I can make a lot of money. In fact, there's a lot of times where after shows, people would buy anything I would have.
All right.
I mean, they would say like, they actually come up to me like, what do you have, to sell? Because they just want to support you.
Sure.
But it goes to not having to get a job. I got into comedy, so I didn't have to work in sales. I don't want to work in sales. And I've seen comedians who make significant money off merch, but they're always, they're taking their merch everywhere. You're going on planes with all your merch. And I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather make half the money but have, I don't know, just not me.
Sure.
I mean, maybe I'll get something to sell on websites, but not something I want to carry around and act like a swap meet after shows. Yeah, exactly. Because I've seen shows where all the comedians will have something, and they have like there'll be a comedian who have like a table bigger than this, but a big table of like T-shirts of different sizes and colors, and then maybe like, oh, and here's like underwear, and then here's CDs. Like, why are you selling CDs? Right. It's 2024. Nobody has a CD player, right. But people buy them just to support. And then over here's some stickers, and then there's like maybe another comedian who has like the same stuff, and I'm just going like, it's a swap meet. Yeah. It's turned into a flea market. Yeah. So, but that's me. I think everything I do in comedy is probably a bad idea, especially if you care about finances. Do not follow me for comedy finance advice.
Right. Yeah. I have some merch, and ideally, I want to have people be so excited that they buy it online. On demand. Yeah. Because I don't want to carry it all around. And it's hard to know what's going to sell, and then you got to have the right sizes, and it's the hassle.
Yeah. I mean, stickers would be the ideal thing. And there are people who just make stickers or keychains, and all it would do is just have like their name and like their website or something, Right. And people would be like, "Oh, I want to support you." And the best option for pay is just pay what you can, because drunk people pay more than if you say.
Exactly. That's what I've heard. That's what I'm doing. Is like I just call it donation based.
Yeah, and you can get stickers pretty cheap. I guess I want to get to the level where, like a band, like if you see, I don't know, like Def Leppard or something, the band's not in the parking lot selling their T-shirts afterwards. Right. Right? I want to have a merchandise person who's selling, they can sell my merch all they want, but I don't want to be the guy after the show, thanks for coming out, everybody. Right. Buy something. Because then you get the guys who don't like you, and they're like, ugh. I already don't like the meet and greet afterwards. Oh, okay. I kind of like the performing and hiding.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for doing the podcast.
Yeah. Well, podcast is fine. It's just us.
Yeah.
It's not like anybody's going to see this.
Exactly. This isn't a famous podcast. No one's ever going to watch this. So, right now, what is your favorite joke? It could be anybody's joke.
Okay, the one bit that I wish, that I think is genius and I wish I wrote is Gary Goldman's, the one with the how the states got their state abbreviations. You know that one?
I think I've heard of it. I haven't heard
it's it's like a 6-minute joke.
Yeah.
But it's but the way he wrote it and crafted it and the wordplay with it was just one of those like that's yeah. It's one of those that sometimes you just go like, I'll never come up with something that good. I'm just gonna quit.
Right.
But yeah, that's I mean, it changes. You know, tomorrow I'll hear someone's joke and go like, "Oh my God, that's the best one I've heard." But as of now, I think it's how the states got their state abbreviations of Gary Coleman.
Cool. Yeah, that's good. So I have a question that says, "Do you have a favorite fan interaction?" But I guess all of them you hate.
No, I don't hate fan interactions at all. What I don't like about them is if you don't do well.
Right.
Like, let's say, you know, if there's like 100 or say 200 people in the audience, right? And, you know, 95% of them have a good time.
Yeah.
There's still going to be 10 people who don't like you.
Sure.
95% is pretty good, right?
Right. Hopefully those people just leave, though.
Well, but they're still going to walk by you, you know, if you're doing the meet and greet. You know what I mean? I'm talking like where you're standing by the door after the show, sure, and you're going, "Thanks for coming." I got to go 10 people who don't like me. Thanks for coming. You know, that's what I don't like.
Okay.
I like it when people like me. But that doesn't happen all the time.
Sure.
You know, sometimes people just have a bad day. Sometimes they just don't like you because of your shoes or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird how that happens.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you remind them of somebody, you know. I mean, it could be all kinds of things that might not have anything to do with anything you said.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they just got bad news.
Yeah, it could be bad news. But I just don't like people walking by and they're kind of like avoiding the eye contact or,
right,
you know. That's what I like. Otherwise, I like to, you know. What I would prefer is instead of going out and having them where they walk by you, where you have to, like selling your merch, you sell your merch by the exit, so everybody who leaves walks by you.
Sure.
Right? I would rather be somewhere else. If anybody wants to talk to me, come on by. Come say hi. If you want to leave with not talking to me, do it. You know?
Right. Makes sense.
So that's, yeah. Okay. Maybe I wasn't clear at first. It's not like I perform and then go like, "Fuck you guys," and then run off.
Right, yeah, I get it. You don't want to interact with the people that didn't like you. So I guess if you ever see people not having a good time when you're doing the set, you just avoid looking at them or interacting with them or anything.
I don't do a lot of crowd work.
Okay.
I used to do more. I stopped because many years ago I was dating this girl who was painfully shy, right? And I brought her to a comedy show, and comedy clubs usually sit front to back, right? Which makes sense. You want the crowd. There's going to be a small crowd. You want the people in the front. So she was there with some friends from work, and they made them sit in front, okay? And there was like 6 to 8 comics, every many on the bill, and at least half of them, like, I don't want to say picked on her because they weren't mean, but the crowd worked with her, right? Now she's painfully shy. This is like her worst fear. She didn't want to be in the spotlight. She didn't want to sit in front, right? And so we pretty much ruined the night for her because she thought everyone's picking on her. Yeah. They weren't. They're just going like, "What's your name?" Right? So so she would refuse to go to comedy shows again because it ruined it for her because they put her like on the spotlight, whatever. Yeah. And so I only, for the most part, only talk to people who open the gates. Like if they respond to me, say something, then okay, now I can talk to you. Right. You broke it open.
Sure.
You know, you cracked the seal. If you're just sitting there minding your business, I'm going to be respectful of that maybe you don't want to talk. Sure. Maybe you don't want everybody in the room to look at you. Yeah. Maybe you don't want everybody in the room to know what you do for a living. You know? Right. And I don't want to make it where anybody feels like they can't go to a comedy show because of fear.
Right.
If you're an audience member,
Yeah.
So that's why I don't do hardly any crowd work,
Right.
unless they talk to me, like I said. Or if I do crowd work, it's not crowd work. It's very generic questions to the group.
Right.
Like, has anybody ever done this or anybody ever experienced that? If they can say something, if you say something, I can interact with you. If you keep your mouth shut, you're cool.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with people keeping their mouth shut. I mean, that's just how people are.
Yeah.
So yeah. Wait, what was the question? I think I went off a tangent.
What it was.
Yeah.
What did I don't. It doesn't matter. I think you answered it.
I hope so.
We did it. So, what is your favorite place to do comedy?
Well, my favorite place, first place I ever was the Comedy Store, La Jolla,
Okay.
and then I worked there for a couple years as like a door guy, and there's always something about that place that just makes it feel like home, whatever, right?
Yeah.
There are clubs, like clubs other places where I really like the owners, like you like different clubs for different reasons, right? Like there's a club in Ohio, which is where I've been living for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's called Crackpots. It's a new club, and the crowd. Sometimes the crowds are great as far as packed.
Yeah.
Sometimes the crowds are, they have other things to do, but the owner's great. I mean, I like him. I like the Grand Comedy Club here. It wasn't built and made for the comedy club, but I really like Adam. He was the owner.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty loyal to things like that. Like somebody who books me and puts me up, that's where I'm going to go. And when I come into town, that's who I contact first.
Sure.
So yeah. As far as stages, I like small, intimate venues more than big ones.
Okay.
Like I like a small one that's packed, with people. So I'd rather have like 100 people in a building that fits 80 people, where they're standing room only,
Right.
as opposed to, 500 people in a room that fits 1,000 people.
Right. Makes sense.
So yeah.
Cool. So what was your family life growing up?
It was we moved around a lot. My dad was in the Air Force,
Okay.
so every couple of years we moved. Like for example, I was born in Western New York,
Okay.
but I left when I was 2, and I lived in England for 4 years,
Wow.
and then I lived in Germany for 4 years,
Okay.
and then New Mexico for a year, Arizona for a few years, and then came to San Diego when I was 14.
Okay.
So I consider San Diego to be the only place that's been home,
Okay.
because after everywhere else, I never felt a connection there.
Sure.
San Diego's the only place that really felt this is where, just home. And we moved here when my dad retired. I have 2 sisters, one older, one younger. I'm closer to both of them now. I was always kind of tight with my younger sister,
Yeah.
who's 9 years younger than me. But yeah, my older sister, everyone was cool. We had a good family life. We were just different.
Yeah.
My siblings. But my parents were great. Like every year we would take like a vacation. Like when we lived in Europe, we would take a vacation, go like, okay, this year we're going to Spain for a couple weeks, whatever,
Wow.
So, yeah, I traveled around a lot. Parents were married until now they're both passed, but they're married forever.
Wow. Cool.
So, yeah.
Sweet. So what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory would be when I was in England, and I was in England from the ages of 2 to 6. I remember castles,
Wow.
like seeing like castles, and they would do like reenactments of like famous. I didn't appreciate it as much. I thought it was just something that everybody grew up doing, like watching stuff like this, But they would do like reenactments. We have like Civil War reenactments.
Yeah.
They would have like reenactments of battles from like the Middle Ages,
Wow.
which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And here's an early memory. It's I saw the original Star Wars in a movie theater in Luxembourg,
Wow.
and it had German and French subtitles on the bottom.
German and French.
Yeah. and like one on top of each other. It was a big. It was the theater was an old opera house.
Okay.
So it was a big, right? And Darth Vader when he came on, it was the first time. It wasn't the first movie I saw, but it was the first big blockbuster I saw. The other ones would be like Winnie the Pooh, whatever, right?
Sure.
But Darth Vader scared me so much when he came on with his breathing. So that's an early memory.
Wow.
I was being freaked out at Darth Vader coming. And then they had German and French subtitles.
Wow.
Might have been French and German, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's cool.
That's an early memory, yeah.
Nice. So what's like the biggest audience you perform for?
I know I've broken 1,000 a few times.
Wow.
But I don't think I've ever had like 1,500. So somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500. Closer to 1,000.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you say you don't really like to do voices, so...
well, I like to do them. I just don't, I'm not very good at them.
Okay. Here we go. That's why we're digging into these questions.
Whatever voice I do, it sounds like me doing a voice.
Sure. No, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
So do you ever do do you try to do different characters on stage?
Over the years, well, this is kind of funny. Many years ago at the Comedy Store, I was getting spots every Wednesday and Thursday. And I used to host the open mic, which was on Sunday. So I was performing there 3 nights a week. But I'm still such a stage whore that I wanted more.
Right.
So I would do a character. And I'd have the character go up. And I could do the character a lot, but the character go up and do completely different than what I would do. Right? But there are things I adopted from the character. But the character would do like 3 to 5 minutes. Right, and then I'll change into myself and go up as myself later.
Wow.
So I was on the same show as a character and then myself. And but things I had the character do. I used to be more animated on stage, and I don't mean animated. Like now, I pretty much just stand in one spot. Here's my jokes. I have the microphone in my right hand. Left hand tells the story, whatever. But I used to be more physical,
Okay.
right? In my youth, and so the character would be, I kept the microphone on the mic stand, which is something I didn't do. I tried to do everything as different as possible.
Okay.
Right? I would talk fast. I had the character talk painfully slow. I had a full beard. I used like spirit gum and tabbed it on, a wig.
Wow.
We had different clothes. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's cool. So what was the character's name?
His name was Teddy Schiffman.
Okay.
I don't know how I came up with that. But yeah, his name was Teddy Schiffman. He performed at the Comedy Store.
Cool.
Handful of times. He did short jokes. At the time I was doing like stories, like longer stuff.
Yeah.
And he was doing character would do like one-liners.
Cool.
And it was
Were there people that thought that was 2 different people?
most people thought it was 2 different people.
Wow, that's awesome.
But it wasn't like I went like back to back.
Sure.
Because it took me a while to change out and all that.
Yeah.
So it'd be like I'll do the character towards the beginning of the show, and then there'll be like maybe 3 or 4 comics, and then I'll come up again. So people, they're not thinking,
Yeah.
They're not going like, oh wait, do we see this guy?
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
But for the most part, it's like for serious doing a character, no. I guess that was serious, but it was. I never thought of abandoning myself to become a character.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're doing it good enough to get to perform it on stage, right?
Yeah. So they did it a dozen times or more. Probably more than that.
So how did you approach it? Like you were just so well liked at the Comedy Store, they just let you do it? Or?
Well, I got past the Comedy Store in Hollywood. So I had a lot of pull at the Comedy Store in La Jolla because I was the only local one at the time who was passed. So I had a lot of pull at that time. It was also different. Everything was different back then.
Okay.
It's a better run club as far as the business would now. Back then it was chaotic. They needed changes. It's probably gonna go bankrupt soon. So they definitely needed changes. But the Comedy Store in Hollywood was kind of dead. In fact, it was dead.
Wow.
La Jolla was was good on weekends, but during the week was just nobody really cared.
Okay.
You know, I mean, as far as and this is as far as time period. I was going there. It was probably around like between 2002 to like 2006.
Okay.
It was like that time period.
Wow. Cool. So have you ever won like a comedy contest or anything?
I've never won. I won like rounds, but not like a big like contest where you make it like to the finals and win the finals. You know, I win like a quarterfinal round, but that's not winning the contest. Right. Just winning the night, you know. But for the most part, the contests I enter have like a lot of competition. I'm not entering like a talent night, you know, going up against the clowns, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I never been the big winner. I never won AGT or anything.
All right. Cool. Let's see. So, what's like your best booking story? Like you got on a show that you're like, you know, like maybe it was early on, or
I don't know if it's a booking story. This is pretty memorable because the time I got booked where I wasn't ready. Like I got like it was. I don't know how long I was in the comedy, but I was booked to do 30 minutes, and I probably had about 20 minutes. But I had to do 30 minutes with no opener. It was just a two-man show, so I had to open cold with 30 minutes, and which I could stretch it, whatever, right? But the worst part was the next night I had to go up and do 30 minutes again in front of the same people because it was a military base. They had us do two. They had us do 2 shows there. And I didn't know it was going to be the same people.
Right.
But when you're looking out, you're like, oh, crap, you guys heard my jokes already. And I literally gave you everything I had yesterday. But that was as far as booking, that was me going like, oh, yeah, I can do that time, you know, no problem.
Yeah, they really should.
So it's
all the details of it.
Yeah, but it's a lot of, I don't want to say confidence, arrogance maybe on youthful comedians. You know, like, and youthful is not age, youthful is experience in their time. You know, you could be a youthful comedian, you know, you'd be like 60 years old, might just mean your comedy career is young. But an inexperienced comedian would typically say they have more time than they do.
Right.
You know, like, oh yeah, I could do 20 minutes. And it's like, have you ever done more than 10? It's like, well, not at once. It's like, no, you can't say you have 20 minutes unless you routinely do 20 minutes.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I could stretch it to 30. An hour was pushing it. That's when I had to do a lot of crowd work.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, yeah.
Cool. So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
The worst thing is trying to get booked into clubs, at least for me. Like, I moved to Ohio, and I knew I could get into, well, I knew I was good enough to get into a lot of the clubs out there, and I was getting booked in clubs already. So I was like, okay. But then I go out there, and they don't know anything I've done, like the other comics or whatever, right? So it's, again, starting all over, right? And it's hard to prove yourself when you're doing 3 to 5 minute open mic spots, right? At an open mic in some bar. So it's not like anybody knew or cared. And the comedy clubs, it's hard to get in than I thought, because it's not about being funny. I thought if you're funny, you get booked, that's what happens, right? But it's not. What happens is a comedy club is a business first, right? The comedy side is just to keep people there, to keep them buying their drinks.
Right.
They're the comedy clubs, for the most part, are in the business of selling drinks and bar food. That's their business. The comedy is just to keep people doing that. Otherwise, they'll leave and, you know, go somewhere else after a drink, whatever. Sure. So they don't care about your art so much, right? What they want the audience to be happy, go home and all that, right? So if you're a new comedian, not new as far as new to comedy, but new to the club club has no experience with you, right? You come into town and say, you know, give them your bio resume, and they might go like, oh, this guy's funny, but they don't know you, you know? Right. There'd be another guy that they're booking for years that maybe they know he's not that funny. They know he's not that funny. However, they also know he's not going to sexually harass the staff. He's not going to get drunk and trash the comedy condo. He's not going to fight people, you know what I mean?
Right.
He's a safe bet, right?
Yeah.
So for me coming in, they don't know me, they don't have anything of me. They could go like, oh yeah, you're good, but and they don't say this, but it's just how it is. I got to give them something different, something better. I can't just be a little bit funnier than that guy.
Yeah.
Why would they book the unknown if they just book the safe guy?
Yeah.
Right? So unless I have like 1 million TikTok followers, which is something people have, that's how you get in.
Yeah.
Or I have recommendations from people who work the club as a headliner, and, you know. But when you come out there new, you don't know. I didn't have the network, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was harder for me to get into a lot of clubs than I thought it would be. So I ended up doing a lot of one-nighters. One-nighters are just like bar shows.
Right.
But the bar shows out there are paying pretty well. I was getting like $300 a night just to go to some bar.
Wow.
Like within like, you know, a couple hours of my house. So that's what I was doing, but it was just kind of going like, is this where I want to go? I came out here like to work like clubs and get into clubs and do that. Now I'm in some small town I never heard of in Indiana,
Right.
which is what I was doing, you know, which was fine. I was doing comedy, but I don't know if that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I decided to move back to San Diego.
Well, I'm in San Diego now. I'm going to end up in Phoenix.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So San Diego's too expensive.
Yeah. So what made you choose Phoenix?
Well, I know people out there.
Oh, there you go.
There's a good scene out there, and it's a lot. It's still expensive compared to Ohio, but it's a lot cheaper than San Diego.
Okay.
Like I said, the goal is not to get a real job. In San Diego, I'd either have to get a real job or roommates, and I'm at this stage in my life where I feel I'm too old for roommates. You know.
Yeah.
So.
So you have it all set up in Arizona? Like you're going to be able to do clubs or?
I don't have it set up because I don't have a date there. I have a date for a club, but I don't know exactly when I'm going to. I don't know my schedule yet.
Okay.
So I have when I get it more definite, then I'll start hitting people up. Right now, all I have is October 3rd, which is a Thursday. But I'll get more as I.
Yeah, that's not very long from now.
No,
When they listen to this, you'll already be there.
probably yeah.
Yeah, cool. So let's see. So with the animation, how did you do that? You just taught yourself how to do it?
Well, there's a lot of YouTube tutorials and all that,
okay.
but I bought a program, so it's done by computer.
Oh,
It's actually really cool because what it is, and I have to buy the characters. Like there are people who are freelancers who make characters. Okay, and then it would be like this. It would be like the program, which is Animation Pro. Forgot the version number because there's so many different version numbers.
sure.
But what it would have like a timeline, okay, on your screen,
Right.
and it would be like, okay, this frame, let's call it frame 100, right? The character's arm is here, okay. Now at frame 200, I want the character's arm here, right?
Right.
So then if you go to 150, its arm would be right here in the middle, like it'll go from 100. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they move automatically. But it took me a while to get like the speed right, because if you go like 100, I want him here, 101, I want him here. He goes, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was hard to get him to walk to make him look. But I learned all that just by.
Wow.
But it was during, like I said, during COVID, so I had plenty of time. That's all I did, was learn how to. We had characters move and walk and talk, and then move their mouths. You know? But yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. I have more ideas to do it. I just need a new laptop. Mine works. I just need one for the program.
Right. All right.
So,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Sweet. So would you ever do say a video game?
But I have no idea how to do that. Like how to make one, you know? Like how to make it where people could input stuff. I mean, I would if I could.
Okay.
Like I said, I know how to do the animation because the program was very simple.
Sure.
I don't know how to make it where they can control the people, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I can learn.
Yeah. They definitely have different game engines. You know.
Yeah.
Where you could. Yeah, you might want to look into that because if you already like, the animation.
Yeah, the animation was fun. Just because it'd be like something I wrote, and then I'll have my friends because Tony. Well, the cartoon was mainly my buddy MT, who was a DJ at the station.
Okay.
He's not a comedian, but he's a encyclopedia of movie and music knowledge.
Wow.
Especially old movies. The guy's like he'll I'll come up with a story, like a plot line, and he'll be like, oh, this sounds like some 1967 obscure French film, like it's like, oh, and then I'll look it up and I'll go like, oh, that film's better than my idea. Never mind.
Oh no, that's maybe not the best.
No, but it is good because I don't want to be, you know what I mean? Like the originality is important to me.
Sure, but if hardly anybody knows that thing.
Yeah, but it's still
really...
well, it gets disheartening when you see their idea. Like when I read the Wikipedia for the movie, right? And I go like, oh man, I wish I thought of that. Like this is better than my idea. My idea is just kind of like a surface of their idea.
Sure, but but you have to start somewhere, right? To make it better.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's.
Do your own thing. I'm just saying. I would just worry, about that. It's if you
about the
every idea. There's no new ideas, so we gotta throw that idea out.
But there's twist on new ideas.
Right.
And in fact, what I like doing to the best joke is starting when I'm on stage. Is I start off with something that seems kind of, I don't want to say hacky, kind of commonplace, like a common theme.
Right.
But then the twist is what the joke is.
Sure.
Right. Now, if you've never seen comedy before, you may not get that because you don't, right? But I'm kind of leading them one way, but you have to be familiar with the first way to make the most impact, I think.
Yeah.
But Woody does a better idea. How do we get on this? It's something about animation.
Yeah.
Anyways, he encourages a lot of stuff, but it also becomes discouraging when I find out other people have done it. When I come up with something that I think is a great idea, only to find out that somebody else had an idea similar or better,
Right.
It becomes, and I can still do it, but I mean, it just becomes like, oh. Like, okay, here's a good example. I had an idea before I was doing animation. I started a Roku channel, which I still have, KIW TV. It does not just my animations, but there's MT, the DJ, has a rock show where he does like music videos.
Okay.
And anyways, I had an idea of taking public domain movies, right? There's a whole bunch of them, right? Mm-hmm. But then you could do whatever you want with a public domain movie. It's public domain, right? But then dubbing them to totally change the plot.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Maybe mix some different movies together. And I was like, I could do that, right? MT said, oh yeah, Woody Allen did that he took like some Japanese movie, totally changed the plot of it. I was like, what? You're kidding me.
Yeah, there's this movie called Kung Pao where a lot of it was other stuff, and then they redubbed it. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So that was me going like, are you kidding me? Because I thought it was a great idea. When I was making the Roku channel, I was like, okay, what am I going to put on it? It's like, well, I can't afford the rights to like movies. That's good, unless they're crappy movies. So I was looking for public domain movies, and the best one I found was it was either Norway or Sweden or one of those countries. They did a good parody of it was a sci-fi parody. It was mainly like Star Trek, but they did like other movies, right? But it was a parody of it, but it wasn't dubbed in English or had English subtitles anywhere. But it was public domain. Actually, they did have one. What it did is they had one that they had their copy, which was a great copy, but it wasn't dubbed. Then they had a crappy copy that somebody added like in English, right?
Right.
And so I'm gonna put subtitles on their great copy.
Yeah.
Right, which is I did. It took a long time. It was a movie, I had to type every line out, whatever, right? And that's when I started thinking, like, wait, why don't I just start changing all this stuff?
Yeah. That's cool. So when you say you have a Roku channel,
yes.
So you're programming a channel?
Yeah, if you go to Roku, any Roku device, type in, it's KIW TV, but I think it's KIW Space TV. But yeah, it'll be me. It's I didn't bring my hat and my card.
So how did you get that? How did you decide to do it? Or?
How did I decide? Because I was making my cartoons, and I wanted to put my cartoons on there. I also had stand up on there. There's still stand up on there.
So you pay money to have it or something?
Yeah. I pay money because I don't know how to host it. I pay for the hosting.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so yeah, but you can make it yourself. You just have to go to Roku, and they have it's just programming code. You just make it, submit it.
And then anybody that has a Roku can access it?
Yeah. There's actually several thousand subscribers.
Wow.
Way more than a YouTube channel.
Dang.
Well, my YouTube channel. I mean, some YouTube channels.
Yeah.
I mean, like Taylor Swift has 1 billion followers. I don't have anywhere near that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'll send you stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to put the podcast on there.
Yeah. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff on there, and we get I get reports. So I don't get them. I have to log into my account and look at it. But it'll tell me everybody. They'll give me their names, but it'll be it'll be like males, like percentage of males, percentage of females, the age, 18 to 29.
Right.
It would have countries where I can divide it by states, just to see who's watching. I mean, I don't get specific people, but I get their demographics, which is kind of cool. A lot of them are Europe. I don't know why.
Yeah. So is it like a live channel that
I could do it live, but that would actually cost.
Oh, okay.
Before, because I thought we could do live stuff, right? And I was like, well, that's good. It's also complicated as far as programming it to make it to go live.
Sure.
It's not as easy.
So is it just video on demand then?
Kind of. Here's what it is. I wonder if I could. No, I can't. I'm gonna say I wonder if I could do it on my phone, but I can't. What it is you go on the channel, right? It'll load, and they don't have a screen. The screen will be the first one I know is There Goes the Neighborhood, which is my cartoon, or it might say animation because there might be the shorts that I did too. Then there'll be the MT Forgotten Files, which is his music show, because he's been a DJ he's 60 years old, been a DJ his whole life, and so he sort of knows all these bands. They send him stuff, right?
Okay.
So it's a rock show that he puts together, and he mixes in comedy bits in his thing, kind of break it up, whatever, right? Then there'll be movies on there. So there's different, you know what I mean? You scroll down on your remote to whatever section you want. Like, oh, let me check this out,
Oh, cool. Nice.
So yeah. But yeah, we don't have any podcasts on there. I don't know if it's much of a market for podcasts. I don't really watch or follow podcasts. I don't know why. I mean, it's just not. If I'm driving, I usually just have music or whatever. No offense, sorry.
No, there's
ask me
many podcasts.
Ask me my favorite podcast. I'd be like, I don't know.
No, it's all good. I just was like, wow, that Roku channel sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And it's not like, the podcast is the only thing that I'm doing consistently, you know what I mean, that would fill time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like I have hours and hours of comedy or things.
There's the thing, we can only put 100 things up at a time.
Oh, okay.
There's a limit. Like if you want to put up 101, we got to take something off. Which is fine because he rotates stuff. Like his shows, we add one on, take off one from 2 months ago, whatever.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But his videos are 5 hours long. It's like MTV, MTV's golden days.
Right.
Music videos.
Sure. But that's pretty cool. You got people that actually are watching it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Way more than watch my stand-up.
But did you put in your stand-up clips?
There's definitely. Well, that's why I was doing it. Was to.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not doing it just for. Oh yeah. No, it's and it's called KIW TV because the KIW is Keeping It Weird, which is the name of my radio show.
That's cool.
So, because it was initially going to be those animations, and then as we looked into it and we saw the capabilities of doing more, a lot of it would be okay, what if I want to do this? How do I do this? And then researching it and looking it up and going like, oh yeah, we could do this, or no, we can't do that, you know.
Right.
So so things expanded and changed, and yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, I can put whatever I want to on there.
Nice. And then, but are there like a limited? There must be a limited amount of people that can have a channel on Roku, right? Huh?
If you have a Roku device, we could have millions of people watching it. It's like there's no limit to how many people could watch your YouTube channel.
No, not watch it, but like how many people could have their own Roku channel?
Oh, I don't think so. Just like there's no limit to how many people could have a YouTube channel, you know?
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's you have to find them. And there's some Roku channels that are actually hidden. Because they don't, they're not technically like legal channels, you know?
Really?
Like they'll do like movies that are, you know.
Okay.
Like,
that's interesting.
yeah. Do you have a Roku?
No.
Oh.
But there's also other ways of accessing, right? You don't have to have a Roku. Can't you just like have an app or something?
Not that. No, I have a Roku app. Actually, let me see what my Roku app has. Because I don't know if I can watch it. I've never tried it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Maybe it's just like.
I think my Roku app is just a remote. Because I know I lose my remote all the time, and so I use my phone. Okay, so I'm going to search KIW TV. Okay, there's me. See, that's me.
Okay.
Okay, so there's that.
So if you launch it, we'll try to launch it on your device.
I don't know. Let's see. Disconnected. Launching a channel is not available without a connection to your Roku device. So I could if I was in my living room.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I can watch on my TV. Here's some screenshots of it. Although this was old because we haven't updated. Like screenshots when we first made the channel.
Sure.
There's him. That's his, like just something he made. There's the thing for my cartoon. That's my character. You can't look, but that's Tony Calabrese, and we're the three main characters.
Cool.
And that's all it has are screenshots. I haven't done anything since we first started it.
Yeah,
But if you can read it, or I'll read it for the people.
Yeah.
KIW-TV is your station for cool movies and kick-ass rock music. Home of the original award-winning animated movie, There Goes the Neighborhood.
Sweet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What sucks with it is I try to do it where, right now it's a free channel. Right. It's a free channel with no commercials.
Sure.
I try to do it where charge people like 99 cents a month, which is like the lowest you can do it, and people do not like that.
Right.
You know, and MT, he's very much against doing commercials unless we can have more control over it. If I do commercials and monetize it, I don't have full control over it unless I go out and seek the sponsors myself,
Sure.
which I'm not going to do. I mean, that's a lot of work. But there's people, there are agencies who will take a percentage and they would fill it with commercial space.
Sure.
But you don't have a say over what the commercials are.
Right.
And you have very little say. I could do some, but it'd be more programming of where the commercial blocks go. Like, you ever watch a movie on one of the streaming services and like commercial break will come in where it shouldn't come in?
Right.
That's why. And so he doesn't want that to happen to his music.
Sure.
He doesn't want it to be in the middle of a song, all of a sudden there's, some super commercial.
Yeah.
So the Roku channel's been great for meeting chicks, but it's financial not good because I haven't found a way to monetize it.
Right.
Monetize it the way that everyone's happy.
Yeah, that makes sense. What if we just someone wanted to be like have their own video up on there, and they pay you to put it on there?
Well, that's one of the things he suggested. He was like, "Yeah, you could charge your comedians," and I'm like, "I'm not going to charge comedians to put a video up, Like, hey, give me so much money, I'll put my video on, And so I was like, no, that's right. And then another thought was we go out to like a local car dealership and find a sponsorship, whatever.
Yeah.
But looking at the demographics, as I said earlier, a lot of people are in Europe.
Right.
El Cajon Ford is not going to care that people in England watch our channel.
Yeah, it'd have to be more something you could buy online or something.
Yeah. So that's why I haven't been able to monetize it, which is why I really don't advertise it as much. I mean, it's not like I did it first, like yeah, but then it became like God, it's becoming a drain, you know.
Yeah.
Until I could find a way to monetize it. But I used to pay everything myself. Now he pays most of it because I've threatened to pull the plug several times, and every time I threaten to pull the plug, he'll pay for it, and then I'll go like, okay, we'll keep going.
So is it expensive?
No, it's not expensive, but if you're not making anything, you know,
right,
it still adds up.
You pay per month or per year?
Per month. Well, you could also do per year. There are different things, you know. There are a lot of different things a lot of different services to pay for.
Sure.
So it's not like it's a set thing, you know.
Okay, so the costs can start adding up.
Yeah, there's variables. There's a lot of variables.
Okay.
Like I could do it with very few videos at a time. Like I said, I have 100.
Right.
I could probably do it with like 10 videos for, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's all we have, 10 videos, you know. Or I could do, maybe I could do 1,000 videos, you know.
Sure.
Maybe there's a limit to the length of the video. Like I said, his show is like 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
Maybe it'd be cheaper if I make, you know, a camera video over 30 minutes. I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
I do know there's variables.
Right. Cool. Wow, that's very interesting.
And I also had somebody, the initial cost was somebody set it up the initial part.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't know all the program and stuff.
Sure.
So I told them how I wanted it, they customized it. So that part was an initial cost, but it's just a one-time cost.
All right. Sweet. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So is there anything else that you want to talk about today? Or first of all, actually, we should make sure we get out of the way. How do people get a hold of you on social media?
Well, everything is under Rick and Gene, and Gene is Gene.
Cool.
Rick RICK. It's so any of the socials except TikTok. I have a TikTok, but I'm not very good at it.
Yeah.
I'm also not very good at Instagram. Like I never take pictures.
Right.
You know, just do you take pictures a lot?
I forget to take pictures.
Because some people are just always taking pictures, and I go, oh yeah, I need to take pictures,
Yeah.
and I do it for like a week, and then I forget again.
Exactly.
But I hardly ever take pictures. So I'm on Instagram. I just don't. But I have it set up where anytime I post a picture on Facebook, it automatically posts to Instagram,
Okay.
and that's all my Instagram stuff post. So it'd be better just to follow me on Facebook because you get all the same pictures anyways.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. So TikTok's mainly videos, and I don't hardly ever do videos. Like just little, look at me, guys, I'm standing here. So, but yeah, I don't have a Snapchat. But yeah, Instagram or Facebook. Just Rick Gene. I'm easy to find.
Oh yeah. So is there anything else you want to talk about today?
As far as comedy related or just in general?
Just whatever. It's a podcast. It's just conversational. Anything that we missed about your life or?
No, I'm just.
Do you have any advice for comics?
I am just in the crossroads of my life and my comedy career.
Yeah.
I was in San Diego. Kind of felt I was doing the same kind of shows. You know, like I was standing there and going, you know, standing on stage, being like, "Yeah, I'm here again." You know, and I was like, "Do I want to be doing this 10 years from now?" I didn't think I was going anywhere,
Right.
and I never thought I never thought of myself as like being like an actor. You know, like I said, I was a writer. I mean, that was what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to LA and do all that stuff. So I moved to Ohio just to work the road, and I was working the road. And the road I was working was mainly one-nighters and bars.
Right.
But the town would come out. It could be a small town.
Nice.
It'll be a small town, and the place will be packed with people. And I discovered that a lot of the headliners are very hacky and they do street jokes,
Nice.
which was very just like, what, this guy's headlining? And their only credit was A&E. And if somebody only has a credit that's A&E, that means A&E Evening at the Improv, which is a show that hasn't been on in like 30 years,
Wow.
which means they haven't done anything in 30 years.
Jeez.
You know what I mean? It's like they just, and I was like, did I just come out here to die? Is that what I'm doing? Just, you know, going to be living on things I've done in the past. But I was doing it, and I was, you know, I haven't had a job in 2 years. I was out there. just did comedy and had my own apartment, but I didn't want to be telling street jokes, and telling people about things I did 30 years ago. Yeah. So I came back. I would love to live in San Diego, just can't really afford it. Yeah. So, what does the future hold? Who knows? And that's why it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. You already knew it would be boring.
Well, here's one thing that sucks is I have my apartment, and when I came back here, I just flew. Right, I was going to drive, rent a car, or pack stuff, but then I was like, you know what? Everything I have is replaceable, for the most part. I mean, I had some things, sure, sentimental value, but those are small things they can take with you. Like, I don't care if my TV comes with me. I'm not going to have the expense of shipping it. I mean, because you could buy a TV for a couple $100. Sure. It's like, so I left everything behind in Ohio. Wow. I tried. At first, I went to pawn stuff. I took a PS3, a PS4, and my bedroom TV to the pawn shop. And I got a total of $26. They're like, oh, we don't have no use for the PS3, and the TV we can't sell without the feet, because I don't have like the feet on the TV. I just had it set on my dresser, and so we have no use for that. So we'll give you $26 for the PS4. And I was like, well, this is lame. So everything else I was going to get rid of and sell. I was like, screw it. I'll just let the landlord keep my deposit, and they can take everything out of here. Wow. So I literally left pots and pans in the cupboards and recliners. My bed was there. Wow. And now I'm out here with just a suitcase. Well, 2 suitcases, because I flew Southwest. You get 2 bags. Wow. That's cool. That's everything I own is in 2 suitcases.
And then you bought a PS5, or you brought your PS5?
I did pack that. That was in one of the suitcases.
Yeah, I don't want to forget that.
That was in one of the suitcases. Yeah. The big things I brought my PS5, and I have a trophy I won for my movie. Oh, nice. It's pretty heavy, but it's like the base of it. I can put my hand on it. Wow. That's like the base, and then like where where it says like it was best comedy film Indie Fest. There Goes the Neighborhood, and then there's like the base right here, yeah. And then the trophy goes. But it's super heavy. Wow. Like it is solid. And I was like, yeah, I'm keeping that. Yeah. And then the rest were, I don't know, everything was replaceable. Yeah. I realized that. I really don't have a lot of things. And it could be because my childhood, remember I said I moved around a lot? Yeah. Maybe that made it easy. Sure. I don't get like emotionally attached to objects.
Yeah, makes sense.
So.
Yeah. What about the PS5 Pro? You hear about that?
I do know they either have a new one coming out or already came out. Did it come out?
They announced it.
Okay, I did see something in the news, yeah. But I was just like, I'm not ready to upgrade. Yeah, I mean, mine's fine.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need this newfangled.
Do you play games?
Yeah.
What do you play?
I keep getting back into No Man's Sky.
Uh-huh.
I just finished the Expedition. There's a lot of games I need to like finish.
Yeah.
There's so many games. It's hard to finish them all because so busy with comedy and podcasts and all that. And sometimes I feel like I'm more addicted to the video game news than, or like just but by a little bit. Like I gotta listen to like the video game news every day.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have to absolutely play a game every day. But,
I did think about starting a Twitch channel, right? Yeah. It's not going to be, most people who have one, they're really good, right? And people watch them to go like, oh, how do I beat this level, whatever, right? Mine will just be a middle-aged guy playing video games, right? And I'll just keep dying. Like, I'll try my best, but that's just, because to me, that's how the real experience is. And then maybe the channel will just be interesting because of my commentary. Of me running around in circles. Where do I go now?
Yeah, you definitely should try it. But the problem with that I felt is like with video games is like an escape, and it's like I don't know if I want to make it work.
Yeah.
Or it's like you start getting addicted to, I have 100 people following me now. Now I have to get serious and have a, just like anything.
Yeah, and then now I owe them some content.
Yeah, you have to. Like, oh, it's Tuesday. You're supposed to stream on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not there.
No, mine would never have a schedule like that. I also, no offense to people I just said add me on socials, really don't pay much attention to social media.
Sure.
I mean, I post if I think of something to post.
Yeah.
I do post. I'll post. I don't know. I try not to post more than once a day because I think things get lost. But I mean, I'll post every day or every other day. But I don't care about like followers.
Right.
I'm not going like, how many followers? Did you ask me? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel like I owe my followers anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't owe you anything. If you want to see what I'm scheduling, I'll post the schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not owing. I mean, that's just me promoting.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. But I'm not going to be, I can't ever imagine me being like, oh my God, it's Tuesday. I need to do this today.
Right.
Because that becomes work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. So, all right. It's been a good length of a podcast.
Is it? Okay. I don't know how long your podcast usually last.
The shortest one was a half hour, but that wasn't very good. So usually about an hour is a good podcast length.
So the guy who did the podcast for half an hour, you suck.
Yeah. They're not welcome back. You know. Like I'm trying to have as many people on the podcast as possible.
Uh-huh.
There have been a few people that have come back, and then actually Randy Villarba.
Okay. He's probably a pretty good guest.
Yeah, he was a good guest, and I didn't even realize it, but I had him on again. And his first one was like 33 minutes, but I think it was because like the recording window was short.
Okay.
You know, because like the show was about to start or something.
Oh, gotcha.
We
Yeah.
wanted to be loud and stuff. But then he came on again, and it was like over an hour.
Yeah.
Or it was like, oh yeah, that's good. That's the definitive one to watch.
Yeah.
Or you should
get rid of the old one.
What's that?
Let's say get rid of the old one. You know, that one never happened.
Yeah. No, and it's gonna mess up all the numbers.
You think people are counting?
I'm counting.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all good. It's just not if I ever get famous from a podcast, then I'd be the first one surprised.
Yeah, it's like I said, I really don't follow podcasts. I'm aware of comedians' podcasts, but I can't just sit there unless they're talking about. I would watch clips if they're talking about something like specific, like somebody may send me something like, "Hey, did you see this?" Or you know, there might be something I know about, like maybe I was there, or you know, people I know. Then yeah, but to sit there and watch comedians just talking, that's pretty much what my life is.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I just can't imagine me sitting there going like, "Hey, I'm hanging out with people, kind of having a conversation, except I'm not a part of it." You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. The people should listen to podcasts if they're interested in knowing more about comedians.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because not everybody gets to hang around comedians and
That's
talk
true.
to them all the time.
And it's pretty much, I'm at the point now where, like I said, almost everybody I know is a comedian.
Yeah.
You know, it could be because I do use a stage name, so I don't have friends from high school.
Sure.
You know, when social media came out, there is no social media under my real name.
Ah.
You know, like there's so. But I also never been to a reunion or any of that stuff. You know?
There you go.
So I mean, it's not like and then I guess I also came to the point where it's harder for me to relate to people who don't do comedy. Like if somebody does comedy, even if they've done it like once, it's like, yeah, you've been there, you know.
Right.
There's kind of like I don't want to say fraternity because that sounds sexist, but it is, you know.
Right.
There's like a bond.
Well, yeah, I like to call people that don't do comedy civilians.
Yeah, civilians, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and so it's kind of like if you go like to a VFW or something, you know, all the veterans are they have a bond, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's how I feel with comedians. It's I almost got to the point where if somebody's not a comedian, I have a hard time talking to them.
Yeah.
It's like, what do we talk about?
Exactly. You're starting riffing, and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were riffing.
Yeah, or that they won't get the joke so much, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Or the fact that you are joking.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons I kind of do a different voice on stage is friends and family just conditioned me. I would like try to joke around in real life all the time.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Are you joking?" So I was like, "Oh, okay." I had to like exaggerate and do a voice, and it's like, "Okay, Aaron's doing a bit."
Have you thought about doing a character?
I kind of do in a heightened version of myself.
Okay, you do an exaggerated version of yourself, yeah.
It's hard to just go up there and talk in my normal voice. I mean, sometimes I do, and then for whatever reason, I go into character.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really a character though. I think most people have like an exaggeration of themselves, you know, like it's very few people are exactly the same, consistent, you know.
Yeah, I guess I just call it a character because when people, even other comedians, they say, "Oh, I was wondering when I talk to you, if you're gonna be, it's like, oh, you seem so normal and not, just talking to you regular." It's like, yeah, I'm performing. I'm doing character. I'm trying to sell the jokes. For me, like when I started really selling the jokes, like either doing slightly different voices or like, things with your hands,
Yeah.
It just makes it better. It's
Absolutely.
harder to do. So.
Yeah. I'm definitely. I like to think I'm the same, right? But I'm definitely more reserved off stage.
Sure.
And the reason, but on stage you're expected to talk.
Yeah.
I can't be up there going like, like you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
Be observant from the corner while I'm mentally writing jokes, which is what I'm usually doing. I can't do that on stage. They're expecting me to talk. So off stage, I'm usually just sitting in the back at a comedy club. I'm usually just sitting in the back, usually by myself because I don't want to talk to people during the show.
Yeah.
That's kind of rude. I'm just watching the show, minding my business. If I'm at the bar, I'm just sitting at the bar. I have other comedians around, if they're around. But I'm not really loud or boisterous, I'm just, I don't know, chill.
Yeah. Cool.
So I guess it's kind of a character,
Yeah,
but it's me. But I don't think of it as a character.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Alrighty, so thank
I
you
think
so
that's
much
good,
for doing the podcast.
Hey man, anytime. This is fun.
Yeah, so this has been comedy
Or worse.
All right, bye.